This is a Panoob 5 megapixel power over Ethernet dome camera. So in the box we have a quick start guide, a little manual download QR code, some protective foam, some mounting screws with drywall or masonry anchors, some type of adapter housing, and the dome camera itself. So this is a power over Ethernet camera, which means that if you have a power over Ethernet hub that's injecting power into your Ethernet cable, you can simply run a single wire to this camera and it will do power and data combined. So this guy here looks to be a cable gland for an Ethernet cable, so you can put the Ethernet cable through there. And then I believe this guy goes on here. And you would snap in your Ethernet cable there, and then you can push this down and lock that in place. And then this guy here would go on and tighten it down here. And so this is designed to do a waterproof connection between just a standard terminated Ethernet cable and this guy here. It also has a power input 12 volt DC. Tip positive. And so if you don't have a power over Ethernet injection and you need to power the camera separately, you can do it with a 12 volt adapter there. And if you're not doing that, it includes a little plug here that snaps into place. And it looks like it's a pretty good watertight seal when that's snapped into place. So this is a dome camera. It has a place here where you can screw this up to anything flat basically with 4 screws, and the camera itself can rotate and tilt within this as well. There's basically a ball in here. So the camera housing has this ring with threads on it. It also has a sticker here. And that sticker says this is an IP camera. The model is PD94CA1-5M. It has a default IP address of 192.168.0.123, or it does DHCP. It says it takes 12 volts DC or power over Ethernet. The lens is 2.8 millimeters, and mine has a serial number. And so it also has this little housing that's kind of a shade for the camera, I guess. And those go down here. They're both made out of metal. It feels like they're aluminum. And then we have the camera itself, which has a glass here with a whole bunch of LEDs around it. And then this guy here, which is what you would mount to a fascia board or a soffit. So basically you mount that there and the camera's here. And there's some little rubber things that will basically hold this guy in place. So you put these guys on after you put the camera up, and then you tighten it down. And once you've tightened it down, it'll hold itself in place. And so it gets tight, and once it gets tight, then the camera's not moving. So if you loosen it, you can then position the camera, and it basically will rotate around probably about 120 degrees. Well, it does 360 around, but in this direction, kind of maybe it'll do from straight down to probably up to, I don't know, maybe 15 degrees. So it can't quite look directly to the side. Because if you go like this, it's going to start viewing this thing up here. But it can look pretty close to the side if you need to go just straight out to the side. But it's mostly designed to be looking kind of at a downward angle. And it has this guy, so you can kind of hold it in place while rotating the guy here. And I think that would be easier if I had it actually mounted on a wall or something. So that's how the mounting system works. So let me go plug this in to the network and see what it looks like image-wise. So when you plug it into a power over Ethernet cable, this little green light starts blinking and flashing to tell you that it's operating. So it got an IP address via DHCP. I just pulled this up in the Mozilla Firefox web browser. I'm going to do admin123456 as the default password. There seems to be a small bug in that when I first go to the live view, the mainstream takes a while to load. So this is a closet lit very dimly just by the opening in the door here. So this closet is very dimly lit by that open door, but you can see it's very clearly visible in the camera view. I'm going to go close the door. Alright, so this is a dark closet. It's basically pitch black in there, and you can see that close up those IR LEDs are illuminating this thing just fine. You can see all of the stuff in the closet. So right now there's the camera in the dark. It just has a ring of red LEDs. They're glowing in the infrared light. In person you can see them, you know there's a camera there, but it's not super bright. So it has plenty of network controls here. You know, you can set a fixed IP address, you can enable or disable the various different ports. It has a cloud-based system you can enable. You can send an email when it detects a motion. There's an FTP server. You can stream via RTMP. There's also an alarm service center where you can, you know, send a snapshot or call a URL just to trigger something remotely. You can also do a connection check to Amazon to see if it can reach out to Amazon or not. So, you know, there's pretty much all the basic features you would want for a system like this. You can assign multiple users. There's a firmware update area and so forth. I believe there's also an auto maintain, which I believe is just to reboot every certain day at certain time. Alright, put it outside during the daytime. It's perfectly good quality. Alright, I plugged this guy in, power over Ethernet. It worked just fine. The mounting system is perfectly acceptable. It allows you to mount it and point it and lock it in place. It has some software that seems to be pretty feature-rich. There are, however, a line of cameras, and this is kind of the low-end camera in the line, and so the software has a lot of features like pan, tilt, zoom that just don't do anything. They're not like grayed out or hidden, they're there, but they don't do anything with a simple camera like this that doesn't have pan, tilt, zoom. There's also a section where you can say, hey, I want to select infrared lights or white lights. Well, this camera has spots for white lights, but they're not soldered on, so it only has the infrared lights. So you have to deal with the limitations of the camera, and the software really doesn't give you a hint of which features work or don't work with this particular camera. So in general, it takes pictures, it streams it over the net. I have, you know, an example in daytime, an example in nighttime. The quality is pretty reasonable. It's nothing amazing, but you know, this is kind of your budget, low-end, power over Ethernet dome camera. Perfectly acceptable. Nothing that super amazed me.